So there is this YouTuber named boyAlgo who has been putting a lot of interesting content, and I've been watching him. And I think he works at Google as a software engineer. And few weeks ago, he posted this video, "Why I Will Never Be a Senior Software Engineer at Google." Very interesting topic. So I clicked it and watched the video. Then I want to review this video. I want to put my comments, and I think he has made a lot of good points. So let's first watch the parts of the video. I'll play some parts of the video here. Okay, let's start it.
But anyways, I'm going to start off with some quick context. So a senior software engineer is your second promotion as a software engineer. So you start off as a junior, which is what level I am right now. Then you get promoted to mid-level. And then after mid-level, you get promoted to senior. But yeah, this is generally how it works at most big tech companies. Some might have more levels, some might have less. But this is the general pattern. And this is how it kind of works here at Google. But yeah, when I first joined Google, I had some really high ambitions for myself. Told myself I was going to get my promotion to a mid-level engineer in about a year, when it normally takes 2 to 2.5 years. And then told myself I was going to get my promotion from mid-level to senior in 2 to 3 years, when it normally takes like 4 to 6 years.
So initially he talked about the ranking and how long it takes to be at that position. And he was kind of anticipating fewer number of years. So he was anticipating maybe it will take, if he's starting junior, maybe 3 to 4 years, he'll become a senior. But that's more like, in reality, like 5 to 6 years if you work at Google. And so that was, I think, kind of his first setback, that why it will take so long. Yeah, and even I was thinking like why it should take that long. But I didn't know like Google, you need to have like 6-7 years experience to become senior. But if you compare the company like Google, they'll pay you a lot of money to be at that position. So I guess that's why they need you to have that much experience. Who knows?
I wanted to join Google and just be this monster, beast, 10x, steroid engineer, doing more than everybody else, and everybody loved me. But then I woke up from my dream. And then I realized I'm a pretty trash engineer.
So I guess so he is at Google right now, and he calls himself a trash engineer. I think this is the perfect example of an imposter syndrome. I don't think so boyAlgo is a bad engineer, because if he's a bad engineer, he wouldn't even get it. So he probably had 5 or 6 rounds of technical interviews and behavior interviews, and then he got hired as a software engineer. And then I think previously he was at Amazon. So he has all the caliber, but he is doubting himself and thinking that he is not up to the job. And that happened, I think, because when you're working in that high achievers environments, like there are a lot of high achievers, then you kind of feel like you are not doing enough. Like you probably take 3 days to close a ticket, let's say user story, I'm just giving example, and someone like the 10x engineer given like 3 hours, and you're like, how come this dude completed in 3 hours and I'm stuck with this problem for 3 days and still couldn't figure out, or barely figure out? So he's kind of feeling that imposter syndrome. I can feel it. If I was there, I'd probably be having the same feelings.
I've been mediocre my entire life, and then I joined a company full of the best, people who have been overachieving their entire lives. And, I joined and I thought that I was going to be better than all of them, but then I forgot. They're all overachievers and they work extremely hard and they're extremely smart. And me, I'm an underachiever and I'm kind of mediocre. So
he's calling himself underachiever. I think only maybe 1% of people who apply at Google get the job. One thing I know, the admission rate at Google is lower than Stanford or MIT. So there is more chance if a person is selected randomly to get admission in MIT or Stanford than in Google, especially in the software engineer side. I mean, I don't know, they have like marketing jobs, and I'm not talking about those marketing jobs. I'm talking about the software development jobs. So he is maybe like 1% of people who ever got the job, and he's calling himself like an underachiever. Interesting.
So reality slapped me in the face real quick. Probably my biggest influence for me wanting to just not be a senior software engineer comes from my actual mentor at Google, who says being a senior straight up isn't worth it. You get way more responsibility, you end up working a lot more, and for what? Like maybe 120, 130K more than a junior?
That's interesting. Getting 120K or 130K more than a junior. And I think in the future, in the later part of the video, he'll say, I know like 120K is a lot. But I think that is not a good argument. Money-wise, 120K is a lot of money. In a year, so in 10 years, you will have 1.2 million if you take that position. So monetary-wise, you will be making minimum $1 million more in a decade. Okay, let's see.
100 to 130K is a ton, but like realize that if you're working at Google as a software engineer, you're already making a ton of money.
That's correct. He's right. If you are a Google engineer, you're making 100 or maybe like 200K, maybe more than that, as I think as an intermediate, and I think as a senior you'll be making what, 300K plus bonuses and plus stock options. I don't know like what the salary structure of Google is, but yeah, that will be a lot of money. So I think now what he's comparing is like you're already making a lot of money. On top of 120K wouldn't make you too happy. Interesting argument.
Like if you are really good at it and after enough time, you could probably work as a mid-level engineer and do that working 10 to 20 hours a week, as opposed to, let's say, a senior engineer working 50 to 60 hours a week for a six-figure pay bump that comes with so much more stress. And look, here's the thing. You don't even have to get promoted to a senior at Google, because at Google, the terminal level for a software engineer is to be a mid-level engineer. And what terminal means is that you can stay there for the rest of your career and there will be no pressure for you to move up.
Okay, I didn't know about that you can stay at that level. Google will not fire you. And you can stay there for like 10 years, 15 years. So I think this is what boyAlgo has in his mind, that why to bother about and why to take so much stress for a little jump in your salary, or I think it's more than slight jump. It's more like maybe 30% or 40% raise. So I think what point he's going to make is that 20% or 30% jump worth it? So let's see his argument.
You're completely fine staying where you are. I'm a junior right now, so I will eventually have to become...
So he's a junior. Sorry, I thought he's an intermediate developer, but he's a junior. Okay. So he will, I think at intermediate level, he can stay forever at Google and no one will fire him unless like he doesn't do his job properly. But he's a junior. Okay. I didn't know that.
They have to become a mid-level engineer, but that's just a single promotion, and then I could probably chill for the rest of my career and not have to stress out. Like, what can I complain about just being a mid-level engineer for the rest of my career? There's not much to complain about it. If I work very little, I make a ton of money.
So if you are an intermediate developer and you know the code base, you know your teammates, then his point is kind of right. You don't need to take a lot of stress because you already know a lot of things and you're already familiar with code base. You're already familiar with your teammates, and then you don't need to put that extra effort. Especially let's say you're hopping jobs. Let's say 1 year you're doing something and then next year you move to some different job. Then there will be a huge shift because first of all, your teammates will be gone. Now you will get a new set of teammates. And then on top of that, you'll get a new code base, new way of doing things. But previously it was different. And now after a year or so, you will need to learn all these things. And then if you go to next job, then you need to do that again. So that can be really stressful. So I agree with him. Like that can be really stressful.
If I work very little and I'm happy with my job, what's wrong with it? And yeah, the way my mentor put it, I never really thought of it in that perspective. I always thought that I would eventually have to become a senior, and senior is the ideal goal. I'll make like 350, 400K, and that would be sick. But I didn't think about how hard I would have to work, or how much harder I would have to work as a senior compared to a mid-level.
As a senior, the level of responsibility you will have is a lot. So as a senior, you will be like working your job, and then you will have some juniors or intermediate who will be like when they will having any question, or if they are stuck on a problem, they will ask you. So you will be doing your work, and then you will need to help them. And on top of that, you need to come up with at from the management level, they want you to do even more, because they know that in next few years you will be looking for a promotion, and then you need to show it to them that you are up to the job. So maybe you're looking for a team lead, or I don't know what level you get after senior at your company, maybe a lead position. Then you will need to literally do a lot of things. Maybe you need to do some system design things, like you need to create a whole architecture of your application. You need to learn a lot of things, so you'll be spending time outside your job learning those things, because you may not have enough time in your day job to do those things because you're already occupied. So he's right. As a senior, you will maybe have 2 to 3 times more responsibility as mid-level engineer. So he is right that it may be not worth taking that promotion, because you will be occupied and you don't have enough time to spend with the kids or to spend with your family. So why to bother about that promotion?
And honestly, I don't have any negative stigma about being a mid-level engineer for the rest of my career. I don't feel any type of inferiority for not being a senior or anything like that. And I've actually worked with terminal mid-level engineers. I've worked with guys who have been at Google for 10 years, 15 years, and they're mid-level. And they're extremely smart, extremely respected. And wow, I didn't realize that that was a thing. Yeah, one guy who I've worked with, he's been at Google for 15 years now. He's a mid-level engineer, extremely knowledgeable about one particular code base that I'm working with. He clocks out at 4 o'clock every day.
And from a company perspective, that's not even a bad thing. See, if a person who is a mid-level engineer doesn't want to become a senior, then they don't want to pay him or her a lot of salary, but they already know the code base, so they can help people who are junior or who want to become senior. So I think from a company perspective, they might need those kind of people, because they will be actually helping the company, and as well as the person will get assurance that they will not get fired. So it's kind of a win-win opportunity. Yeah, so you can watch this video. I think I'm at 4 minutes right now, so it has like 2 minutes left. But I want to conclude this video. So the positives, let's say positives and negatives. Okay, so the positives are, you'll have less stress. Good thing, very good thing. You should have less stress in your life. Second, you will have a code base which you know ins and out of. So, and then if you have any problem, then you can quickly fix that problem rather than jumping from one code base to another code base. Third, you will have long-term relationships with people around you. So maybe your manager or your junior or senior or at same level, like you will have a longer connection. Good thing. Now everything is remote, but still I would like to work with the same set of people for longer time than new set of people every year, because then I need to make new connections, and then they need to understand me, I need to understand them. So these are positive. What else? You have like a stable salary, you can say. I mean, you will get, I think, the regular promotion or hike, I'd say 3%, 5%, whatever they're giving at Google. But you will have a higher salary. You will still be at 2 or 3% or top 5% salary earner in US. So overall, these are the 4 points I think you can take as positives. Let's talk about the negatives. First of, I think the major negative point I have, or if you ask me would I do it or not, is first of all, I think the obstacles is the way. As Ryan Holiday said, you need to have obstacles in your life so that you can move upwards and forward. If you're staying at one position, then you may not have that much hurdles. You may not have that much obstacles. So your knowledge or your skill kind of plateau at that level. And even though you have like 10 or 15 years of experience, but you will be working on same thing. So you will not have that breadth of knowledge or skill. So that's the one thing I can point out that's negative about this kind of strategy. And second is, you need to have something like you can look up to. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a business. So if you are not learning new things in technology especially, then how can you update yourself? Even though like you can stay at that level, but you will need to learn new things, new technologies, unless like you're using like very old code base and nobody bothered to change that. So at the end of the day, you need to put effort, even to stay at that position. So maybe a little bit more extra effort can get you better salary or like more money if that's what you're looking for. Then maybe staying at one position is not good for you. And I sometimes feel like if you are like at one job or one setting for a long time, you kind of feel pressure, you kind of feel a pressure from inside to do new things. So if I stay at one position for too long, then I might get bored and I may just quit the job and do something else. So there are few positives and negatives here. So you can make your own decision. But for me right now, I don't think so. I can stay at one position for too long. I certainly want to see myself go up, go higher in life. I think nothing's bad. You should do it if you want to. But you should, if you don't want to, then that's fine too. But you just need to figure out your positives and negatives, and maybe make a pros and cons list, and then see like what will happen if you don't put an extra effort in your job for a couple of years, and maybe something bad happen or maybe something not. So it's totally up to you. But from my perspective, I think boyAlgo is right in a lot of things, and if he wants to do that, he should. But for me, I think I would not make that decision that early in my career. Even he's so young. I mean, he's junior. He should not get comfortable with his job. He has done so much in his life at that moment. I mean, till this moment, and even though he's not giving any credit to himself, but I think he should give some credit to himself. I think he has put a lot of effort, and he's, imagine like someone maybe like few years ago gave him that advice that you don't need to, like, why you want to go to Google, why you want to waste your time learning those algorithms, data structure. You can get a job at a startup and maybe earn less money. But he didn't. At that moment he put effort, and then he chased his dream and he got it. He's at Google. If I think that was his dream. And now I think he kind of feel pressured from outside or from inside. And if I need to give him a suggestion, I would be like, maybe quit Google and start something small. I know he will not be getting that salary, but he can mentor other people because he already has experience. I mean, I think he's a junior, but junior at Google is like intermediate at other position, I think, because the level of the kind of project you'll be working on for most part, and for kind of people you're working with, will give you enough experience to teach others. So yeah, I think he has a lot of capabilities, and he's a competent person. So he has like 7,000 followers. So he can do a lot of things. So I think he should do it. And if you are curious, you should do it as well. I would highly suggest you to move forward and upwards in life, because you will have fun, you will have a lot of opportunities, you will make money, you will teach other people, and that's kind of like having a higher sense of being, rather than doing your regular 9 to 5 job and then come back home, play video games. I don't think so that's fruitful. You will not develop that breadth in your life. You will not have that knowledge. You will not have that connections. And then that will not be a fulfilled life. So yeah, that's it from my first reaction video. I'll see you next time. Till then, goodbye.